Um, they have, thank you, Baba, because I would have forgotten. They have been serving our community for so long in terms of bringing us back into a cultural understanding of relationships. And I personally have been watching and following them for a long time. And it's such a pleasure to have them on this call because every month for the past, I think, how long? 3 years, Baba? We've been
At
talking about
least.
healing Black relationships.
Yes, at least 3 years.
Yeah. So yeah, so we felt that it was such an important thing that we've committed every discussion on our fourth Thursday to talking about healing the relationship between Black men and Black women. And with that, every now and then we do have a guest speaker, but sometimes we just speak amongst ourselves in that discussion. So it's good to bring some expertise into this discussion and deepen our understanding of what we need to do in order to heal our relationships. Um, so Montsho and Nwasha use the art and science of Black love culture to help you decolonize your love and create the relationships of your wildest dreams. They are a happily married soulmate team and co-founding directors of the Akoma House Initiative, a culturally based counseling and consulting firm. The Edus are the creators of Akoma Day, which is the cultural alternative to Valentine's Day, currently celebrated in 16 countries. They are the best-selling authors of 3 books, which are Akoma Day, Guidebook into the Science of Soulmating. Also, You Are What You Cheat, a guidebook into understanding and overcoming infidelity. And also 20 Beautiful Women, 20 More Stories that will help you heal your soul, ignite your passion, and inspire your divine purpose, African edition. Wow. They are also the creators of the Black Love School, which is an international online relationship academy that teaches singles and couples the why and how of love. All of their work rests on the 3 pillars of psychological reparation, relationship education, and cultural initiation. So once again, thank you so much for being here. And at this time, I would like, I mean, I know you have talked about this topic so many times already in terms of healing the relationship between Black men and Black women. And I would like, if if you may, just to start with, what do you feel like is the most important thing for us to know right now?
Wow. The most important thing for us to know in general about relationships is that we are complements and not opponents. So I think in our culture right now, there's a lot of men against women or women against men, and that we both really want to express our challenges, our traumas, our pains, our desires. But truthfully, we are just the ends of the polarity of humanity, of human existence. And we need to be able to see how we are complementary to each other. And that, I think, will bring more empathy, more understanding, as opposed to fighting each other as though we are opposites.
And I would say that relationships require skill. And we talk about 7 primary skills. There's a lot of skills, but there's 7 basic skills that if you don't have them, loving each other is not enough to make a relationship work. So you have to be skilled, and we're going to get into those. You have to be skilled to make a relationship have longevity. So we're newbies, we're 23 years in. But in our paradigm, we're very young in terms of a relationship. And so in our cultural paradigm, so we have devolved as we lost the value system, as we lost our culture, we have devolved into not being able to do the most natural thing that the universe has for us, which is to come together as complementary energies. We've lost that. And so as we talk about it and throw mud at each other and all kind of stuff, nobody's really talking about what are the skills that we have to develop to make this work. And so that would be the thing that I would say, in addition to what Nwasha is saying, that we gotta develop these skills, man. So That's one of the main focuses of our work.
Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that. I think that's a great way to start. And I think so many of us we miss the cultural piece. I know a lot of times when we talk about healing the relationship between Black men and Black women, that's one thing that continuously comes up in our discussions is that we are mimicking the people that we are oppressed under, and that brings a lot of difficulty. Um, in terms of returning to more of a cultural understanding of relationships, what do you feel like, well, one, I guess, what do you feel like is keeping us from having that? And how do we get into breaking that barrier and getting closer to that cultural understanding of relationships?
I think, we're living in an oppressed state. So the number one thing keeping us from our culture is systems of oppression. So racism, white supremacy. We're coming off of Akoma Day, where a major focus is decolonizing love. So we have challenges when we can only frame our thoughts and our feelings of love in English and French and Spanish. We have a lot of challenges left over that I think not being in the style of enslavement and oppression that we used to be in, many people forget that we're still dealing with that. And it's not like we're done with that and we can move on to finances and education and, spirituality. There is a remnant of the oppression in the way that we talk to each other, in the way that we think about each other, in the way that we have sex with each other, so we have a lot of challenges. I would say that we have to know that we're decolonizing a thought system. Our approach to love, our obsession with possession is definitely from an oppressive space. So like you said, because we're mimicking, we don't know what we're getting into when we even have our desires for love, because they've been conditioned through stories that are fragments of our own, through television, through fairy tales, through so many things that we are implanted with romantic desires that are not our own, not our paradigm for love. So because we don't really understand what it is to deal with oppression, to be actively being oppressed, we don't even really understand that because we don't know the system of racism, white supremacy in our everyday lives, and how I know Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, you can't even escape racism in your own dreams because you can't, you don't have another language to think in, and everything that's in your subconscious is actively aiming to oppress you. So when we go to our relationships and we want to own someone, or we want the relationship to only serve us and us not to serve the relationship, that's a major, major challenge just in our approach. And then as Montsho was saying, we don't have any skills conditioned into our education through our family or through any kind of formal schooling. So we don't know how to communicate. We don't know, how to resolve conflict. We don't know how to even show interest and court properly. So I think that the one thing about us that is amazing is that we're implanted with the desire to connect, and we're implanted with, the most expansive, the truest version of the Most High and creation. So that is in us. And I think that we act from a very deep place of knowing, but in all of our practical ways of knowing, we're dealing with the result and the repercussion or the effects of oppression.
Yeah. So we have a like a operative conscious mind, a subconscious mind, and an unconscious mind, right? And so consciously is just our present awareness. Subconscious is stuff that used to be aware, like the shirt that you wore on your second birthday, but it's been repressed because you're storing so much memory, or maybe it was traumatic. You didn't get the cake you wanted or something. I don't know. But that's subconscious. But then we have the unconscious mind, and what that is ancestral DNA. That's the part of you that knows about life on Mars and how the pyramids were built. It is how you can do the Harlem Shake in the 90s in New York City and then find out it's the Boston earthquake from the 20s, and then find out that it's the ground shake in Namibia, but you never been there, you never knew any of these people. Like, how do you have this connection that you don't know that you have? Well, that's the unconscious mind. And in that part of your mind is all truth. So the dichotomy that we have as Black people, like, we know everything and we don't know nothing at the same time. So we're striving to make relationships work and we don't have community. Well, I just thought, Segment, about the question you asked. And another thing I would have said, the prior question, one of the things that we really need that Black people don't understand now that we need to make a relationship work is community. This is like really missing us, like for real, for real, for real, for real. Now, as therapists, we just crossed working with 20,000 Black people in about 16 countries on earth.
Wow.
And all of us that are having major dysfunction and major we just can't get it together, we have the value system of our oppressors of individuality. So we think that we can find a relationship that is just between you and me, and it's us against the world, and we can make it work. That's not really an African value system. It never was, and it never will be. We are a communal people, and by being communal, we do not lose our individuality. It actually gives us more opportunity to express our individuality, because you got the elders, you got the young people, you got the males, you got the females, you got the supporters, you got the frenemies, you got all of these dynamics in a community setting. But we learned in the enslavement, in chattel enslavement, that what happens in this house stays in this house and it's just our business. And that's not an African value system around relationship. We have a value system that says there is a part of our relationship that is intimate. It's not for your parents, it's not for your children, it's not for your siblings. It is the highest level of human interaction between two people, a man and a woman. This is the only relationship that can reproduce life. That shows point blank that it's the highest one. It's higher than the love you have for your mother, even the children that you create, right? But that part has a sanctity and a sacredness. The rest of your relationship is for everybody. And like 85% of your relationship is for everybody. So a male needs a group of men to take him through the rites of malehood, boyhood into manhood. A female needs a group of women to take her through the rites of femalehood, girlhood into womanhood. But a couple needs a group of couples to take them through courting, mating, and into nationhood. And the relationship always has a dual purpose, or a triple purpose. One is for your character development. Two is for what you two become as a third thing. So, one of those pages that you follow on that we're friends on Segment on Facebook is called Nwasha, because that's the name Montsho and Nwasha put together, right? And that's an ancient African paradigm. Like, that didn't start with Brad Pitt. And like, when you go through different cycles in your life, you can see this to be true in your own life. Everybody gives you a new name. So your parents name you, but then they give you a nickname. And then your nana comes see you, and then she give you a name. Then as you're growing up with your siblings, they give you a name. Then when you get out into your communities, if you fast and track, you like, they go road runner, you get a new name. Then you go to college and you get another name, you know what I mean? Then you start to rise in love with your first love, they give you a name, you know what I mean? Then you'll see when you have your children, they give you a name, and it goes on to your grandchildren. And so we have lost the understanding that community is the thing that helps relationships thrive. So now what's happened is we're saying we're African-centered, but our value system is still individualism. I can't worry about nobody else. I got to deal with my thing. I can't worry about your children. I just got to focus on mine because the world's just too crazy. Or, look, I'm keeping my man or my woman out of the world. You know what I mean? Which is unrealistic. When we can normalize again family, when we can normalize again community, we will see that relationship it's simple. It's not always easy, but it's definitely simple. And it's the natural progression of life. Everybody feels unnatural at a certain point of their life if they don't have a divine complement. We try to pretend that that's not the case now because people try to justify the dysfunction we're in. We have gone from denying our dysfunctions. We went from hiding them, denying them, to now we celebrate dysfunction. I don't care. This is me. And whatever the dysfunction is, we'll jump up and down and say, look, I'm dysfunctional. And what? And what? Who won it? And so we don't understand that there is no intimate relationship without community. First of all, what would be the purpose of two people having this love supreme on an island somewhere? What would be the purpose? Because one of the foundational purposes is for you to develop your character as an individual, for the unit to remake the soul. And there's a lot to speak about the Akoma that we're miscalling the heart. If you understand the divine story of that symbol, you will understand that we are truly designed to have a soulmate. So, but then the third part of your relationship is to serve the greater good in community. Everybody that's great through history is on the backs of a group of people, but specifically they're shining at a zenith point when they have the support of an intimate love. I like the way Billy D. Williams said it in Mahogany. All the success in the world means nothing if you don't have somebody to share it with. And I would even take it so farther to say it's not success. So we got to understand that community is a big part of relationships. And so that's why we designed the Black Love School the way we did. And, we have people coming together from 11 countries, singles and couples. It's about 50% singles and 50% couples right now in the Black Love School. But we created a platform, and we can invite all of y'all to come and check it out tomorrow. We're dealing with a concept called the 7 Sevens, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But it's an African concept about life progression and love progression. But we bugging out here, Like we really think we could just, we are suffering from fairy tale syndrome and superhero complex. So fairy tale syndrome thinks somebody is going to slide down on a rainbow and whisk us away and make everything correct. We want to be Cinderella, or we think that I'm Superman and I can just jump in a phone booth with any problem. It ain't nothing. It ain't about nothing. Now let me jump in here and turn into Superman and come out. But do we really understand that Ka-El, Superman, is the soul of God from our African, Nubian, Kushite, Kemetic ancestors? Do we understand that Cinderella is actually Nefertiti, or Queen Nitocris, who was bathing in the Hapi River, and an ibis bird came and took her sandal and dropped it in the lap of the king, and he was so smitten by the king that he got all of his court together to find who owned this sandal. And then when he found her, he married her, and then they went on to do, and then he was assassinated, and then she went nuts and murdered everybody. These stories are still carved in stone in our ancient Nile Valley, but we don't know about them because we don't have culture. We don't have culture because we don't have community. So because we don't have culture, community, we have fractured consciousness. around relationship.
Wow, wow, wow. Powerful, powerful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to make sure, I know probably people are itching to ask more questions. Did
Yeah,
anybody
jump
else have
on
a
in.
question? Did anybody else have a question?
I see some of our Black Love School people in here. Peace
Excellent.
to y'all.
I have a question.
Queen Neith, Empress, Bilquis.
Hotep, my
beloved,
beloved
how are
family.
you?
I am wonderful. So very, very glad to be here with you all. I
Yes,
just
we
posted
love
this.
you. You know that.
Indeed, I just posted this up on my page, so hopefully many other people will come in as well.
Yes.
I'm so proud of the work that you all have continued to do. And what I can say is that you all have been consistent, no matter what has gone on in the community, no matter what has gone on in your lives personally, you all have been consistent. So I first want to just say thank you all for doing that. You make many of us actually believe in love and believe that it actually can be, because you do it by demonstration. You don't talk about it, you actually walk it. So thank you all.
Yes.
So my question would be, I loved what you said about couples actually having accountability, and here without a question, because not only did couples have accountabilities when we originated, they also had accountability when it came as soon as a woman got pregnant. Absolutely. Because the shaman came in and began to speak over that child's life and to give all of that. Currently, do you all have a rites of passage for couples and a rites of passage for singles?
Absolutely. We have a program called Akoma King,
okay,
which is about emotional fitness and social responsibility. So we're looking at emotional intelligence, emotional literacy, emotional vocabulary, emotional demonstration, emotional flexibility, emotional strength, and emotional endurance for men. And then we say that responsibility is simply doing the right thing at the right time for the right reasons. So I have a 14-week program that I take men through called the Akoma King, and it focuses on those two things and how it interacts with all our relationships. Nwasha also has a Akoma Queen, which is 9 weeks, is it?
Yes.
Okay, and your focus is
harmonizing energy, and expanding the practice of femininity. So embracing creativity, imagination, and conserving energy. For a lot of Black women, you know, being the workhorse of the United States has done a lot of damage to us. So how to really embrace rest and to fill up our energy at the same time that we want to do all the things that we want to do, and then to definitely expand what the label of femininity has been for us, so that we understand even femininity has its own pole and its own range, and that we don't have to be held to someone else's vision of what Black womanhood is.
Absolutely.
And so then we have Akoma Soul, which is an acronym. Akoma, of course, is the sacred shape of soulmates, but Soul stands for self and others understanding love systems. Because I want to talk about those 7 skills that you need, but we want to take as I said, the group of couples or us being the guides of culture, because in our traditions, in all of them, we're all equal. So we really, we use the term students and teachers, and there's a practicality in that. But really, for us as Black people, when we read, we are re-adding. When we come together, we're literally remembering. So all of us come from the divine unity, and just like in division, or even like you can look in biology, in one of your cells, the billions of cells that you have, in one of them is everything about you.
Yes.
Right. And so this is why cell therapy is such a big thing amongst Yurugu, and we just see so much preoccupation on cellular biology and stuff like that, right? Well, we are each other. So anything I know, you know. If I'm a responsible guide, I'm just going to help you remember. Yes. And when I spark your memory, your ancient memory, your ancestral DNA, again, we're going to travel to a place that is far beyond either one of our lifetimes. Yes. Because that's what we have access to. That's the beautiful gift that our ancestors gave us in ancestral DNA. So we definitely consider ourselves guides. We are jegnas that are guiding around the art and science of Black love culture. You know, the art is the philosophy and the abstract cyclical feminine energy, and the science is the methodological, practical, step by step. Yes. We call it the masculine energy. So we call the art the why, and we call the science the how. What we see as therapists working with people around the world, Black women need the science. Yes. They really need the science because they have a beautiful alchemic energy. But when it comes to relationships, like, you know, I always say, if it's a step pyramid, Zoser step pyramid that Imhotep built at Saqqara, and it got 7 steps, women be on like step 1, then step 6, then it's only 7 steps in the pyramid. They be on step 12, then they come back down to 2, then they be at 3.5, and then they turn to the man and say, what are we doing here? Like, who am I? What is this? Right? Like, so they really need the science. Sure. Men need to understand the art, the why of love. We need to understand that although in our superhero conditioning when we're little, think about it, nothing teaches us that we need to mate. So all the superheroes, their dilemma is, I can be great or save the world, or all of my enemies can destroy me because of her. Whether that's Lois Lane or Vicky Vale or whatever their names are. You know, so we need to understand, why is it important that we get mated and married? Number 1, you're going to live 12 to 18 years longer. Number 2, you're going to have a greater amount of health. Number 3, if you get married in the average marrying age of somewhere to 27 to 29, in the course of your career life, you're going to make $1 million more with the mate. But my favorite thing is, outside of the health, outside of the money, outside of the duration of life, you have a partner to fight and dismantle this global system of racism, white supremacy, in a way that no other person can help you do. Your homeboys can't do it like your queen. And sisters, your girlfriends can't do it like your queen, because when you come together, like your queens, your whatever y'all call each other,
we got you, you good.
girl, you know how y'all talk, girl. Well, when you come together, you actually bring the other part of yourself that is, I don't want to use the word absent, but that is, you can't be both sides of the pole at the same time.
Sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
So a man to be whole needs his queen. A woman to be whole needs her queen. Now, this is not to say that, King, this is not to say that you can't function and you can't be great. Sure. I'm not saying that. I'm not. So I don't want anybody who's single to feel like somehow this is an attack or a slight.
No, it's just the truth.
At your highest level,
sure, absolutely,
you can only reach the peak and zenith of your highest level
Yes.
with your divine complement. And
Absolutely.
so whether you choose, whether you currently are single for whatever reason, or you're just choosing, which is your absolute choice,
Sure.
to be that way is fine. You still
Right.
lose none of your divinity,
Right.
but it's like, you know, for the brothers, like I play basketball, it's like in sports. You can be like most people when they get older, they're a much better basketball player than they were when they're young, but you
Right.
don't got that body that you
Right.
had when you were young. And
Right.
you just can't do what you used to could do. You could think better. You can be more effective in the game because you understand the game. You
Mhm.
have more mental control, but there is a such thing as the peak to your body. And so in the life cycle development, there is a such thing as reaching your cultural peak, your spiritual peak, and that's it's as above, so below. You crystallize from the ancestral realm to a physical form because of two people, and
Yes.
you will crystallize back to that height when two people come together.
Okay.
So
Beautiful. Those courses that you shared about, are those on your website when you're going to have those again?
yeah, so the Black Love School, right, is consistently running.
Okay.
The Black Love School, what we do is we do 2 master classes a month and then 2 live calls a month. So every 2 weeks, a new class comes out. It is a monthly membership. It's been running for 7 years. There are several people that I see right now here who are in the Black Love School, right? And so what we do is we move with the seasons. So
Okay.
in the winter, where we are, we call it the culture of love. All the classes are on high spiritual science and the intimate couple. In the spring, it's spring into love. It's new beginnings and
Mm.
how to bring like couples that are just starting out,
Yes.
the courting phase or whatever, and how to bring new energy to established relationships.
Okay.
In the summer, it's called the heat of love. All of the classes are intimacy and sex, not sex and intimacy. It's a difference.
Mm.
And then in the fall, we have the harvest of love,
Mm.
which is about friends, family, the extended community, and the intimate relationship. It's a $42 a month membership, cancel at any time.
Excellent.
And when you join, in the spirit of Ma'at, it's $42. When you join, you have access to all of the classes. They're all pre-recorded audio visual classes with heart work assignments that are designed to help you develop these core 7 skills that we're going to talk about in a minute. However, we move as a group. So right now we're talking about the 7 sevens, which is a life cycle development that happens in life and in love. Tomorrow is the live call for that. So we invite all of y'all. We'll put a link here in the chat so anybody can come and just check it out, how we do the Black Love School. But it's there for you. And so when you join the membership, I tell people, even if you stay for 1 month, the average people in here is some people right now been in the Black Love School for 3 years. We've had it for 7 years. The average stay is somewhere around 18 months to 2 or 3 years is how long people stay in there. Because there's over 50 something classes in there, and we're basically going through 26 classes a year. So it takes you just 2 years plus just to get through all of the classes. And then as a group, now you can do them all by yourself, but it's high level science in there. So some people, you just want to have community. And what is beautiful, and some people who are here can talk about it if any of you want to share, you get to see that Black people in London, Black people in Ghana, Black people from Haiti, Black people from Canada, wherever, Chicago, Detroit, we dealing with the same stuff. These 7 skills come from, we've been dealing with Black people with relationships for 23 years together. And I swear to you, I have not seen like really 6 problems. It's all the same 5 things over and over in Ghana, in Eritrea, in Germany, in Spain. We got a new group of people in New Zealand. They going through the same stuff people going through in Chicago, because what's happening is we've lost our value system because we're oppressed everywhere we are. And so we dealing, whether it's the English, the Dutch, the Spanish, the Portuguese, the French, whoever these crackers are, excuse me, wherever they at, we dealing with the same bullshit.
Mhm.
And we're losing our value system, so we can't connect. We don't know how to harmonize styles. We don't know how to agree on anything. We can't raise our children. We even when we come together and we have greatness, we don't have alikes or community. So we feel like we alone in a weird kind of psycho movie where we hiding from aliens. You know what I mean? So it's a problem. We dealing with the same thing. So the Black Love School is just one of our many options. Of course, we do counseling. We have the Rites of Passage programs. We have a lot of different programs. We have one just on the art and science of communication. But wherever people start with us, they almost always end with the Black Love School because you can stay in it. We made the cost so low that it's like it's just a gym membership or something. Unless you go to Planet Fitness, then it's like. but you know, it's a low cost, and then we have features. We have a private Facebook group. We also have accountability partners where you can partner up with people. People be trying to hook up on the low. You know, it's not a dating. We can't stop that. You know what I mean? Like, we don't get into that. But at least I always say, if you do meet somebody here, at least you got a great system to vet them from, because that's one of the main things we don't know how to do, to consciously court and vet who is right for us and who is not. So, you know, we invite all of y'all to come. We gonna put it up here so y'all can join us tomorrow at 8 Eastern. We usually go from like 8 to God knows when. You know, we sometimes we on here till 11, other times we on here till 1 in the morning. But everybody gets to ask their questions and everybody gets to share, and it gets real in here. It's tears, it's love, and it's all supportive. In 7 years, we've never had disrespect or any that we're aware of. Now, if something is going on behind the scenes, we don't know nothing about that. But we always start opening with the 7 virtues and 10 principles of Ma'at, because those are the foundational principles. So when you come to the live call, we usually start with either a song or a movie clip or two. Then I come on and I will lay down the 7 virtues and the 10 principles and how they relate. Then Nwasha reviews the class real quick. She shows the screens of the class, but when you're in the membership, you actually can listen to the class and watch it and then get the heart work assignment. But the classes average anywhere from 35 minutes to some of them are over an hour long. Then we quickly review the slides, and then we open up the live discussion and start talking about the heart work and talking about how the class impacted us, or if somebody didn't take the class, they may ask questions on why is this relevant, or how does this work, or how do I do this, or now I'm realizing what I'm dealing with in my psychology and all of that, because we do deal with psychological reparation. In order for us to be in relationships, we got to heal the pains of our individual past that happened in our family, but then we also got to deal with our collective ma'afa if we're going to unite. So that's psychological reparation. Then we need relationship education. We need to know, some of us think if I just heal, now I'm ready for a relationship. Not. You got to heal and get skills.
That's right.
So we deal with relationship education, and then we take you to the deeper level, which is the unlocking of that unconscious memory. And you can only do that. The ancestors left, the keys are in our sacred rituals. So we have, you know, cultural initiation that helps you unlock that ancestral DNA. So those are the 3 pillars. That's in all of our work, but it's absolutely in the Black Love School. So we lay that foundation at the beginning, then we just get it on and just have a love party for as long as everybody can hang. That's every other Friday. So we Friday, a new class comes out. The next Friday, we have a live call. Next Friday, new class comes out. The next Friday, we have a live call. That's how it works. And it just runs consistently. But when you're in there, you could pop around and take any class you want. And then we have a deep dive that you could do one-on-ones about the classes that you're taking and how they're impacting you as a single person or a mated or married person. So that's just one of the things we offer.
Awesome. Thank you all. Nwasha, greetings, beloved. Yay. So yes, thank you. This is really, really exciting. And I'll be going to your website just as soon as this is over. Hotep.
Hotep. Love you, Queen Neef. We ain't
Love
seen you in
y'all.
a long time.
Indeed.
We've been knowing Queen Neef for
It's been what,
many
12, about
many
12 years?
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Love y'all. Thank you so much.
Much love.
Beautiful. I wanted to ask, have you noticed, well, I'm sure you noticed, but I wanted to know what are some of the differences that you noticed between people who have not had this type of culturally based relationship training and those who have? What are some of the differences that you notice?
Some stay together and some don't.
Mm,
We see the average, so 7 out of 10 of us are unmated, which is, I don't know, Black people in the Western world, unfortunately, because of the cultural traumatic stress that we're under, we don't get to look around a lot, right? So I don't know if Black people in the Western world, including the UK, the islands, North and South America, understand we are the most unmated people on earth, right? So 7.8 out of 10 of us are unmated. And I don't know how you get a 0.8 of a person, but we're almost at 8 out of 10 of us are unmated.
mm,
It is nothing even close to that on earth. Like, so people be like, in them poor countries and that, we're the poorest country on earth and we're the richest one at the same time. We're the richest one because we are here, but we're the poorest one because we've lost our culture, right? So we're the most unmated people on earth. Everybody else is finding a way to mate. But because we have a persistent, our Limu, Joy DeGroy says post-traumatic stress disorder, we kind of changed that and said, it's not post, it's persistent. It's cultural
mm,
traumatic stress. It's not urban, it's in the suburbs, it's in the country, rural, it's wherever Black people are. This global system is affecting us in such a way that we can't be ourselves. And as a result, we can't mate. And so people who have cultural initiation, even those who just have intact families around them, they develop a core belief system. One of our classes in the Black Love School is about beliefs and the 5 places that they come from and how to change beliefs. But when you're operating with a core belief that it's okay to be single, or you're not good enough to mate, you could be saying consciously, I'm going to get me a mate. But if you're in your core, you don't have standards or references for that, and you don't actually believe that you can do it, then you'll have what we call approach avoidance. Your grandma called it taking 2 steps forward and then 10 steps backwards. It's like double Dutch. You want to get in there, but you can't find here go my time, boop, then you get hit in the head and then you go sit down. Like, I'll come back in a couple months, So that's the greatest thing I see. And when I say cultural, I mean even those who come from a love culture, because some of us may not have an African value system, but we're of an age, or we were blessed to be in an area where we were around grandparents that loved each other and aunts and uncles that love each other. And so we kind of grew up in this culture of love. We believe in love, even though sometimes we can't replicate those skills because challenges the global system of racism and white supremacy. One of the 4th stage is refinement. So it keeps changing. So what was the thing in your grandparents' era? It was like, we wasn't dealing with that. It was the steel mill and the factories. Now your parents was dealing with working for the state. Then their children was dealing with crack. Now their children is dealing with hip hop. You know what I mean? Like poisonous hip hop. So it just keeps refining. And if we don't understand that, we don't have a system to deal with it. We got to have love systems, because everything that functions is a system. You tell Black people that about relationships, it seems weird to them, but that's our cultural way. There was a courting system. There was a mating system. There was a marriage system. There was a nationhood system. And having a system doesn't take away any of the magic. It just ensures that you don't get caught up in any of the BS. So, so that's the main thing I see. Otherwise we got 18 months. The average Black relationship, they say lasts 3 years, but I swear to you, I can't find them. We meet couples and we be like, yeah, we're going to come back on y'all side of the country next year and catch up with y'all. We come back like, how y'all doing? Oh, we're not together anymore. Like, damn, y'all, it's only been 8 months. Like, yeah, we just couldn't, So we see couples start breaking down right around 18 months. And anytime couples break up, just cut the date in half. That's how long they've been unhappy. So, Black women will hang in there. And if a man can get like good food and sex, he'll stay in a horrible relationship until she kick him out. You know what I mean? Like, just get out. Like, so we, brothers know that's true. You know what I mean? If it's a plate in here and a warm bed, I don't really like you, but it could be a lot worse. So let me just stick around and get me something to eat. What's for breakfast? So that's what we see.
So thank you. I see Brother Quasi has his hand up. You have a question, Brother Quasi?
Well, Tip, peace and power.
Beloved.
It's good to see you guys and everyone else. Thank you, guys, for doing this for us. I had a question. You both can answer. With the ratio of single women to men, do you guys do surveys, single women to single men? Do you guys do surveys to find out what challenges people are most commonly having? And what I mean by that is, why are women saying that they're not able to find a partner? And why are men saying that they're not able to find a partner? Do you have like surveys where you can compare and say like, these are the most common reasons?
You want to deal with that? Okay, you sure? I'm running my mouth. Okay, so I'll try to be brief and let Nwasha jump in. So yes, we do a lot of surveys because as we were working, so we both hold the same master's degrees with in human services with clinical counseling concentration. So we only went to grad school to bring this firm because we hated that education, and we did get some good stuff out of it. And we went to HBCU. We shout out to Lincoln University and all the Black people that was in that program with us. We love y'all. So I ain't going to bang on it 100%. But at the same time that we got that education, we did receive cultural initiation for 20 plus years in African Nubian Kushite Kemetic, lifetime members of Smai Tawi, Amin Ra out of Brooklyn, New York. That's actually where we met Queen Neith many years ago. It no longer exists, but we were under the direction of Queen Afua and Baba Haru when they were together many years ago. And then we went into the Dagara Dogon systems, and we got direct initiation from Malidoma and Sombofu Some. We worked with Dr. Africa for pre-social media era for about 20 years. Ashra Marewa Kwesi and Shola Arewa. Nwasha got some Ifa in there. So we definitely have done cultural initiation. So in that, it's always a call and response and a question and answer. To understand the art and science of Black love culture, you got to talk to your people. And so that's why we kind of move around the world, travel the world, and give services around the world to find out what people are dealing with. And as I had alluded to earlier, it could seem like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, who we also trained with, used to say, if you don't, and her and Nilly Fuller used to say this, if you don't understand the global system of racism, white supremacy, why it exists and how it operates in those 4 stages, you will think it's a whole bunch of things going on, but it's really one thing. Your culture is decimated. That's it. It ain't even like a whole, like, I don't want to be disappointing in that answer, but it ain't even like a whole bunch of other stuff. People who have their culture intact can mate and marry. People who don't, lost as hell. And let me prove it to you this way, Brother Kwesi. When you do talk to people around the world, we were able to glean this about 20 years ago. So we talked to a brother from Guyana, or a sister from Ghana, or somebody from Tanzania, or wherever. And we would say things like, how do y'all deal with courting? How do you deal with divorce? How do you deal with blended families? How do you deal with death? How do you deal with, you know, cross-gender parenting, like a woman to a male child, or a father to a female child? And they will always answer like this: in my culture, da 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 da. And that was like across the board. You could go to Chinese people, you could go to people in the continent. They would say, well, in my culture, this is how we deal with divorce. And in my culture, this is how we deal with blended families. And what we were able to glean very quickly is it's culture that informs relationships. We can't mate because we don't have a cultural model. And because we don't have a cultural model, we have deferred to individual ideology of fairy tale syndrome. Somebody's just going to sweep me away. Study Queen Nitocurti. And they called her Nitocris, but her throne name is Queen Nitocurti. She is the story that Disney and them hijacked Cinderella from. We don't have a cultural model. So because we don't have a cultural model, one of the core skills is conscious courting. We don't even know how to court. We don't know how to communicate in 3 dimensions. That's one of the other skills. We don't know how to have life and love purpose is the first skill. Then it's conscious courting. Then it's 3-dimensional communication. Then it's the harmonizing of styles, because men and women are nothing alike. Then it's intimacy and sex. Then it's resolving conflict. Then it's creating a love legacy so that you consciously grow together and don't unconsciously grow apart. If you can't master those 7 skills, you can stay in a relationship. You can find somebody who say, I ain't leaving you no matter what. We're going to kill each other. We're going to destroy each other, and I'm not leaving you. But you might not have fulfillment. But if you had a cultural model to contextualize that, not only would you have fulfillment, you'll have a system that you could replicate for generations. That's what we're missing.
Can I say, excuse me?
Yeah, go ahead, beloved. Pardon me.
Yeah, I want to get a response to the question of what are people saying when you ask the question, or they present themselves in their situations. What are men and women saying is the reason why they are not in a relationship, or they can't find someone? What are the
I think that people say what you just said, that they can't find someone. But the truth is, most people aren't looking for someone. So we find that people say women are not holding to traditional values. That's a lot of times what men say, is I can't find a woman who is going to be a wife. A lot of times women are saying the same thing. I can't find a man who is responsible. I can't find a man who actually wants to get married. And some of that is true. And that the way that we present is that we don't see purpose in getting together, or we don't see purpose in securing each other in a committed relationship, because we are absolutely getting together because this is how life is continuing to procreate on the planet. So we definitely still have children, but we don't marry as often. We definitely have multiple children, but we don't, even when we marry, we don't stay married as long. So I think people report that there aren't good men, quote, and there aren't good women, but a lot of that is a belief system problem. So when you have a challenge in your belief system, you're going to project that there aren't good men or women. And by default, everyone does this in every category. Whatever you believe to be true, you will find in the world to reaffirm your belief system. So when you say there are no good women, but you look for women in a certain area, when you can't find one, you say, see, there's no good women.
I've been in every club on the South Side. I've been in every go-go bar, and I can't find no good women.
And the same is true with women. You know, when we're saying it's a little bit different for men, I always say, because men, Dr. Africa taught us, boys and girls are born at the same rate. But by the time you get to a courting age or a marrying age, there are more women than men. So when you think of, again, like causal issues, Black people around the world, Indigenous people understand that there's cause and effect. Because we're separated from that, we deal with a lot of symptoms of issues without understanding the cause or addressing the cause. When we're saying now there aren't men, there's a reason why boys are killed and young men are incarcerated and men are killed that leave women without their men. When men say, I want a woman who is going to be my wife, you have to go into looking for wives then. You're not going to be able to just, we all are suffering from a little bit of fairy tale syndrome, even men. We're all suffering from a little bit of, I can do it on my own. Superhero complex, even women. And the challenge is we have a void and a deficit that's within self and community that we project onto each other. So I think the number one thing that people will say is, I can't find a person. But when you ask them a second level question of where did you look? How did you look? There is no answer for that. Most people don't have a system for searching for a mate. Most people don't have a system for even letting someone know they're available. So, you know, many people today will say, hey, I did a dating app. And, you know, we'll ask them, what did you put in the profile? Which picture did you use? How did you answer the questions? Some people don't answer the questions because our attention span is so short. I just read an article that our attention span is now less than 5 seconds, so shorter than a goldfish. A goldfish can maintain attention for 8 seconds, and human beings are down to 5. But people are completing an application without any substance to their questions and wondering why they don't get matched. People are writing like distorted jokes in their profile instead of being their real authentic self. People are using photos that don't show them smiling, don't show them doing anything passionate, it's either let me show you my abs or my backside, or let me show you nothing. And we're dealing with something that could be a visual way for you to expand your range and meet a lot of people. You could search online and through social media and say, I met someone in another city, another state, another country, but we're not using the tool for what it could be used for. So we say, I've been on 5 different apps and there is no one. But there's literally tens of thousands of Black people on the apps. And then we say, I went to so many places, but I met no one. And there has to be in your radius 100 available people.
Most men, your mate is like 3 blocks from you. No cap. She like right around the corner from you.
But if you don't believe it to be true, you're not going to find the person. And if you don't believe it to be true and you find a person, this is where the self-sabotage comes in. So sometimes we get a lot of people who say, I did meet someone. We had a client, you know, a couple of weeks ago say someone was interested in me, but someone being interested in me is suspect. That's a red flag. I'm like, interest is a red flag? That's how you know that we're dealing with a lot of trauma. If someone's showing you interest is a red flag.
Right.
You know, we have challenges where we're lying to ourselves. So even when you survey people and you ask them, why do you think that you have this problem? Often people who have a problem are limited in their understanding of the problem, or they wouldn't have the problem to begin with. So you have to be able to say, when many, many, many people report this kind of a problem, and you can see people who are outside of the problem who don't have that issue, everyone on the planet has an issue with the effects of oppression. I'm going to say, you know, even white people have an issue to deal with because of what's happening to the planet, to the air, to the water. There's a consciousness over the globe that is suffering from racism and white supremacy. So it is inescapable. If your consciousness is on planet Earth, anywhere, resonating, vibrating with planet Earth, you're suffering. But Black people have suffered the most in that, as Montsho was saying, we don't have a remnant to hold on to. So even people who are in arranged marriages, if people are in China, Japan, India, sometimes people complain about those relationships. But there's a fragment of, in my culture, I can do this. There's a system that is beyond me, beyond my knowledge, beyond my experience, that I at least have as a foundation or can fall back on. For us, we don't have that. So what we do is dabble or entertain too many things, multiple things, and especially things that are not us at our best. So again, without thinking of causes, we deal with symptoms. So people say, okay, there's nobody here, so I'm going to date someone outside of my race. There's nobody here, so I'm going to do something else. But the truth is the qualifier of I can't find a man has to do with our thinking, which then will lead us to an approach, which then will have us get results. And if we don't like the results that we get, it's one of those other things that we have to change. So either our thinking is right and our approach was wrong, or our thinking was wrong, and then that led to the wrong approach. So I think people self-report their problems incorrectly. We do ask people, of course, why do you think that you've had this issue? And how often have you had this issue? And people say they've had it for their whole lives. They've had it since they were a teenager. They've had it in every relationship. And when you ask how many relationships was that, they say 3, right? They say, well, when I had this one, it was so traumatic that changed my belief system, changed my approach. So I never actually recovered. So when people self-report a problem and say, I've had this problem for 10 years and I haven't been able to meet anyone. And then we say, well, what was the last time that you actually attempted to meet someone? And they say 5 years ago, 10 years ago. The problem that they're reporting, the problem gets skewed because they don't actually have an understanding of the problem. As Montsho was saying, if you don't identify a loss of culture or an experience of generations of oppression as part of your problem, then you're not going to a cause. And for many of us, we're blaming our parents, we're blaming, society, and we definitely have a generational kind of trauma and a group kind of trauma by being on a planet full of chaos and war and destruction and, possession. We definitely have a trauma in that. And we also are able to make a new world, make a new life, make a new future. And most of us can't see past our problem, which is the design of a system that is a global system of oppression. The idea is that you don't get a break. You don't get to turn on social media and not see oppression. You don't need to go on vacation. You don't get to do that. You don't, even when you go on vacation, especially as Americans, what we see when we go to places that are the most beautiful places in the world is often that the people are oppressed there so that we can go there and stay in a resort, in a hotel, and we can get a break from our version of the oppression while we participate in other people's oppression. And so we don't actually have a reprieve. And so when we think we do, but we don't feel fulfilled, as Montsho was saying, what happens is we go into deeper levels of isolation and depression that fulfill our original identification of the problem in the first place, that there just is no one. And that's not actually true. It's that we get more and more isolated because we are less and less fulfilled. Even when we make more money, even when we have one of the easiest passports to go all around the world, we don't say, I can't meet anyone in my town, but I have a US passport and I can go someplace else to meet someone. Many of the same people who are complaining about not being able to meet women are on sex tourism in the Dominican Republic, or, saying that they're going to pick up somebody else who is definitely a more feminine woman. And what I know from living in Brazil and living in different places is that a lot of women are tolerating things just as our ancestors did because they don't have money and they don't have access. So when you go to Brazil and go to the favela and pick up a woman, it's not because she wants to be so much more submissive to you. It's because the monthly salary is $100 and you are giving her $300 and taking her out and she's going to feed her children. You're not asking about her children. You're not trying to bring her back.
You damn sure ain't trying to take them on.
You bring her and her children to Philadelphia. You're there saying, hey, I can go someplace else
Friday night.
and be immature. So essentially we are manipulating each other, we are inauthentic with each other. And when that doesn't work in our immediate neighborhood, we do it online, we do it in another country, and we are at the base level of satisfaction, which ends up being sexual liaisons and those types of things that are easy to satisfy. So I think, most people are just saying there isn't anyone out there. But what I know is there's almost 2 billion Black people on the planet, and you only need to meet 100. So
You only need to mate with one.
You only need to mate with one. But I'm saying if you went on a plan and said, this year, I am going on 50 dates, and next year I'm going on 50 dates, you're going to, like any person who takes on anything that has a goal, you self-correct. So you go on the first 5 days, you're like, nope, I'm not picking from that pool. You go on the second 5 dates, you're like, no, I need a better conversation. You go on the third 5 dates, what happens is with a plan of saying, I'm trying to meet 50 great people, you say, where are the great people? Let me be a part of that organization, a part of that club, a part of that vibration of people that I think are thinking a certain way, living a certain way, acting a certain way. But we don't do that. We pick people by proximity, which is not necessarily the best thing, or we pick people off of things that are superficial. And when those things don't feed us and give us any type of fulfillment, we then say there is no one out there. And that's not actually true. You're bypassing many, 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 many people. If you're just saying, I am a Black woman on the East Coast of New Jersey, and I'm thinking that I want to meet 50 great men, where would I go if I want to meet men who are spiritual, who are moral, who are educated, who actually want a woman? Where would I go? A lot of times what we say is, wow, somebody's got to have 6 figures. Somebody's got to make $300,000. And what I know that speaks to is our insecurity. And not insecurity in person, but insecurity in the world. So what we say is, I want someone who has a lot of money because I believe that will provide security for me and my children. But what we know every single day is even people who have the most money on the planet in America and have ended up divorced, right? So money doesn't solve all your relationship challenges. In fact, it can create some new ones when your husband's not available, or when there's a lot of access, or when many, many, many people are competing for him, right? So what we often are doing is just saying that, I want a woman who, cares about herself and doesn't have a high body count. Meanwhile, a man is racking up his own body count, right? So magnetism, you're dealing with women, and that's completely fine to satiate you. But when you want a wife, you want a woman who's untouched, who's pure, who's ready to birth your children and only your children. And we have to be able to say that what we're giving is part of what we're going to get. And what we want to get, we need to be ready to give first, so that we are actually magnetizing the best kind of relationship. So we need a level of honesty when we even answer questions about relationship that most of us are not prepared to offer the level of honesty, because we haven't thought about relationships that deeply. And we haven't thought about what it means to be accountable to our own actions.
Wow, a lot of powerful information. I hope everybody's taking notes. I know I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this entire recording, because this is so many gold nuggets here. I believe, did Brother Victor have his hand up? Brother Victor, did you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Everything you said sounds good and beautiful, but I'd like to ask you, if somebody excelled and took your courses, all your classes, what do they expect to leave with?
They expect to leave with the 7 skills that you need to make a relationship work.
Okay.
We have married 8 couples. So we marry couples around the world. We have married 8 couples, and we have joined a lot of relationships. And I would ask any of you people who are in the Black Love School who are here, unmute yourself and answer the brother's question. Don't let me answer it for you. Because let me just say this to you, bro, because I want to be clear on this. When we first wrote our first book, when we started Akoma Day, when we started this firm, the reason we did it is so that we could stay together, right? Because we looked in our environment and saw Black people don't know how to stay together. Now we coming together. I had 3 sons, right? I was a single parent. I'm bringing this woman into my life. I want it to last. I want us to be happy too. I actually come from a community where all the Black people were mated. I grew up in a community where of about 300, 400 Black families, I only have one single friend who didn't live with his mother and father. He lived with his grandfather. I mean, his grandmother. All the rest of us lived with our moms and dads, right? Me and my sister happened to live with our parents, but they had a horrible relationship. They stayed together. I'm 52 years old. My sister is 55, 54, 55. She just turned 55 last month. I'll be turning 53. What I see is that it is hard to conceive a standard that you've never seen, right? So when we talk about harmonizing styles, I'm the youngest of 3, but I never met my oldest brother. My wife is the oldest of 3, very close, tight family. I'm from a live family. We off the hook, but we from the suburbs. My wife is from a very demure, close-knit, and highly aquiline, respectful family, but they from the hood. And they from not just one hood, they from several hoods. Boston, Trenton, Newark, you know.
Newark, don't say nothing about Newark.
She lived in Brazil. She done lived in Africa. She done been all over the world. I'm from one town in the suburbs where all the Black families were together. Coming together, that creates an explosion of beliefs and value systems and stuff like that if you don't know how to harmonize styles. That's why it's one of the primary skills. So we have such a void that I think the question you asked is an excellent question, but the answer is so simple, it's hard to digest when you can't see the balance. Now, Umema, I saw Umema had her hand up. She's in the Black Love School. I don't know if she was going to talk about her testimony, but I'm saying that what you're simply going to get is master level proficiency in these 7 skills. That's a great question. The better question is, what are you going to do with those skills? That's the question. Because for us as brothers, let me tell you, I've been in every prison that New Jersey has adult except for 2. I'm talking about penitentiaries, not jails. Like from Trenton State Prison is the biggest prison in New Jersey, all the way down. Broadway, all of them, right? I've been in every single one doing programs with the youth, long before I even met my wife. When we first got together, I had such a clearance, I started taking her in the jails, right or wrong. Letting her see some of the interviews I was doing. I was a regional case manager doing aftercare plans of how we going to get your life right when you get out, my brother, right? What I see is she, oftentimes, those that know us well and in the Black Love School, she's going to give her answer. It's nothing wrong with it, but it's not my answer, right? Because as a man, I have a different perspective. And I tell Black men this, man, it ain't hard to find no women. And I tell the same thing to Black women. And I don't care if you're talking about polygamy, that's a temporary fix that Black women started, right? And we've had many polygamous clients and you know what I'm saying? It's not hard to find people. We don't have the skills to build relationships. Listen, the average brother is somebody on your damn street. Damn your community, and she right down the street. And you know her because every time you go into a Black community and you see somebody fine, all you got to do is talk to the brothers in the community. Yo, who that? Oh, that's Nwasha. She worked at IBM. She drive a blue so-and-so. She used to be with this dude that was the mailman, but now she's single. She ain't really been with some, but I did see that dude that worked down at the mall. He be coming over there too. She go out on a couple dates. I think she also got a part-time job at Macy's and did it. Like, we know each other. And I tell black women all the time, I don't care. That dude may be walking by you every day saying, good morning, sis. But if I meet him and say, yo, bro, who is that? He got your whole resume. Because we watching women. We hunt. We're men. We hunt. You know what I'm saying? So the women and the men are everywhere. We just don't have the skills. And I'm even saying for the superhero, the real Captain Save'ems, if you had the skills, you could go strip Spice off the pole or somebody like that, if that's what you into, if you really had the skills. But you don't have the skills for Spice. You don't have the skills for Denise. You don't have the skills for Sherry. You don't have the skills for Latifah. So you will say something is wrong with all of them. Similarly, for you sisters, you will say everybody locked up or everybody's a cheater. Listen, it's 1,000,000,008,000,000 Black people on earth. Half of them are men, half of them are women. Repatriate. Go to the islands. Deal with their mess. Because they beautiful people, but they got mess too. Go to Africa. Beautiful. Mess too. Go to the UK. They beautiful too. They got mess too. The only way you're going to survive that mess is with these skills. So if you don't have these skills, we can mail order you a bride and bring her and sit her ass right in your living room, and you'll be divorced in 18 months like everybody else. Because you don't have the skills to make the relationship work. So what we're doing is saying, we're giving you the skills. Now I can show you a YouTube recipe, but I can't make you go buy it. I can't make you eat it, and I can't make you share it with your children. So what we're saying is, we understand that the skills are missing, and they're missing from a cultural paradigm. We're giving you that. So I don't know, willfully that answers your question. Umaima, I didn't mean to cut you off. I seen you had your hand up, and I wanted somebody who knows our work firsthand to say something.
Oh yeah. Greetings, everyone. I have a 2-year-old, so if I have to jump off the head of the baby, excuse me. But no, to answer the brother's question, really it's a lesson in self-discovery first and foremost. And that, coupled with understanding like where we are, the context of like where we are culturally as Black people, because you know it, but nobody's ever really put it to you in this way so that you can really understand like the pathologies and just like the barriers that we face as Black people that keep us from joining together. So I feel like once you learn a lot of this stuff, it really does open to your eyes to like like your role in like being mismated. And so like a big part of what Montsho talks about and Nwasha talk about is like that vetting in that cultural system. And they talk about how like if you're working with other people and they don't really have a system, or they haven't been married 7 years successfully and happily. So there's just a lot of things, that a lot of value that comes from, I mean, you can listen when you listen to my show now, just the value that comes from the things that he says and just the high level conversations that we have with other Black people. And then, like you said, what you're asking, like, what's the main thing that people, that Black men and Black women are saying that are keeping them from each other? And so in the group, there's other single people, and there's married people, or people that are in a relationship like myself. And all our problems are similar, even if the end result was infidelity, or it was the way you engage each other, or the love is lost. Like, it all stems from the same thing. So it's really just like a high level understanding that you get. I'm 42 years old, and I just had my baby at 40. And sadly, I'm just learning these things now because I didn't grow up in a house that had that example for me to easily be able to follow, or around a lot of other people that it made it easily able for me to follow. So now I really do have like an understanding. And so even if I don't make it, which I think that I will, I have this to pass on to my child, and I have like a better understanding of like what I should be teaching him and what I should be trying to model for him. So it's more than money can pay for. It's things that I've never, like I said, in 42 years, listening to all these people on the internet, or having conversations with my friends and my family or other married people. It's just not this level of like understanding that you get. So you definitely get a lot, whether married or single.
Thank you, Umaima. That's a great.
I'm gonna write it down for y'all.
Yeah. We love you.
I love y'all too.
Brother Faru has his hand up. Go ahead.
Akoma family.
Yeah, Akoma, brother.
Peace and infinite blessings. So I'm just going to share with the brother what I have personally got from the Black Love School in Montsho Nwasha. You get a community, you get a support system. I think that's foremost the most important aspect. And you get these skills, and it's about what you become with these skills that you get. A lot of times we want to use them on other people and want to use them and test them on other people. But the most benefit we can get from it is what we become from these skills that we have learned. And that will put you in a position to magnetize the right person for you. And so when you become a better person, when you become the best version of yourself, you will magnetize the right person, but you got to get yourself right first, right? And so that's what I have got up. And you get the skills to maintain and build a cultural correct life. A lot of times we doing these things from alien culture. We adopted these values and these morals from individuals that don't like us. I mean, and so when we operating from traditional things, the best that our tradition has, when we operating from that, things become so much more easier. And so I don't know if that answered the question. I'm just giving you my personal testimony. So yeah, you get resources, you get community, you get the best version of yourself, and you can't get no better than that.
Thank you so much, brother. Love you for that. And Faru has been with us. Is, if I can just share, he's like what we call a legacy client. Faru has been in the Black Love School for many years. Faru has been in the first initiatory crossing of Akoma King, rites of passage that he did. What did we do last spring? We went.
Yes.
I think so, because we're coming up again. There's a new cohort coming up this spring. And Faru we're in New Jersey, Faru is in Philadelphia, and he happens to be, outside of us, the longest person doing a community Akoma Day celebration. So he fuses Mama Ayo Handy Kendi's Black Love Day that's celebrated on February 13th with our Akoma Day that's celebrated from February 14th to 20th. And we work with Ayo Handy Kendi, we love her. Faru started that. We've been celebrating Akoma Day I've been doing it for 26 years, and then under the new version, me and Nwasha have been doing it for 23 years. But Faru has, where are you, Faru? 8, 9, 10 years?
No, actually 2017.
Oh, okay. Dang, it seemed longer than that, Faru.
Yeah.
Okay, but Faru, since 2017 has been, that's 7, yeah. Since 2017, Faru has been doing large community celebrations in Philadelphia, and we're usually at all of them. You know, every year, it was North Carolina jumping off this year. It's been New Zealand, it's been Germany, Abu Dhabi, wherever it is, somebody does something magnanimous. But we always say Faru has been consistent, second to us, with doing it every single year, a large community celebration around Akoma Day. So we just love you for that and a lot of things. And Nwasha always says, we just love Faru because he's just a beautiful man, and he's got a great sensitivity, and he's a great father and a great artist. So, you know, just my brother, man, love you. And, you know, thank you for that answer.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I see, please forgive me if I said the name wrong, Amani Torre. Amani Torre, okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Mandatory.
Hello, Akoma. How are you all doing today?
We're doing wonderful.
That's good. Well, I just want to say that you two and the Black Love School have been very beneficial for me and my husband. I absolutely love the Black Love School because it has been a great emotional support system for me. before coming into the Black Love School, I was severely emotionally damaged due to some trauma that, I had experienced in my late 20s. And so I recognized that by me doing other things to get myself back on the right track, as well as coming to the Black Love School, I recognized like, wow, I really do need this. Like I'm getting something over here that I'm not getting from my therapist or from other people. I feel like I'm really connecting with people that really genuinely care. I feel like I'm connecting with people that are open and honest about their own, about their traumas and experiences that they have experienced. And I just really feel like it's love. I don't feel like I know for a fact nobody is sitting back judging or sitting around, poking fun or looking down on members just because they are experiencing different things. And then most of all, I like that we are learning about the African sciences. I think that's something that's very important because I have gained skills that I have not gotten from anywhere else. I've gained skills just from being in the Black Love School. And also my energy has changed, from being in the Black Love School. So sometimes I can read energy. I don't know if for some reason, I don't know. I don't know how I do it, but the skills that I have learned from you all and the skills that I have learned from doing my hard work, I'm able to apply it out when I'm out in the universe, just moving around, and I could just pick up and know how I need to go about doing stuff. If I'm making sense, I hope I'm making sense. But
Yeah,
overall,
absolutely.
I just really think that it's something that if you really, really are trying to better yourself, if you're trying to get a better understanding on how you should be handling yourself as an African person, I think that coming to you all and coming to the Black Love School is a good place to start. So I have to come to class because I know if I don't,
Well, we'll see you tomorrow. We appreciate you, and we love you so much. Much love, much more to you and Melvin. And I know you said a couple of things I want to touch on, and then I'm gonna let Nwasha say she went. So you talked about the different traditions in the Black Love School. We have about 11 countries, people from 11 countries, and we have Ifa, we have Candomblé, we have Akan, we have Moors, we have Hebrews, we have Nation of Islam, we have the 5% Nation, we have like 4 Christian ministers are members of the Black Love School, various doctors, a couple lawyers, entertainment people, Umema, like we got people from all walks of people fresh home from jail, people who been in relationships for there is a couple, they never come to the live call, but they're in Tanzania. They've been married for 67 years and they are members of the Black Love School, but the time difference and stuff, they rarely make it. But I talked to the wife and she just loves what the Black Love School is about. So they pay the $42 a month because you never have to come to the live call if you don't want. But what Black people are most surprised about is, you know what? We don't have a place where there's a loving environment around relationships. No such place exists. You know what I mean? Everybody got a story about relationships now in the social media era, but very few have solutions. Everybody has this kind of testimony, but you don't really have a cultural perspective to heal relationships. So we got these psycho-feminists, which is not our value system. We have Samuelites in the manosphere. That's not our value system. None of that is going to bring us together. Although it can be intriguing conversation and we can throw mud at each other that way, that's not the goal. The goal is for us to strip off, decolonize. Do you know, I worked with Sanjeti many years ago. We found over 300 words that in various different African languages that reflect intimate communication. The average Black person only knows the word romantic. They don't even know another word exists. And there are thousands of dialects on the continent, in India, in Brazil, New Zealand, just Australia, all over. We don't even know how to say another word. So the unity of so much diversity, the Adinkra symbol, Funti Meriku, Dinku Meriku, is the two alligators that share a stomach, but they go in two different directions, and they represent our unity and our diversity. Listen, when we have a diverse community, you do not lose any of your individuality. You actually gain 1,000 new places to deposit your individuality. So I wanted to say that, Amandatori. Then, Amandatori, you talked about your 20s, right? Tomorrow's class and lesson is about an African paradigm called the 7 sevens. You don't get this many places in the world. So none of these men, these people don't even know this stuff, right? Because it comes from African initiation. It says that you mature in 7 sevens. 0 to 7 is infancy, characterized by dependency. 7 to 14 is official childhood, characterized by adventure. 14 to 21 is puberty, characterized by passion and your pubescence. It's the passion phase, characterized by your puberty, and not just what you become physically passionate, but what you become psychologically passionate about, usually developed in those 7 years. 21 to 28 is metabolic maturity. We say that our body changed at 30, but it actually changed at 28, but 30 is a round number. 28 to 35 is emotional maturity. 35 to 42 is mental maturity. 42 to 49 is spiritual maturity. So we talk in symbolisms. You find somebody over 45 saying, how you doing, Mr. Johnny? Birds singing, sun shining. Well, I'm good, because nature is the language of spirituality, right? So symbolism, right? So what happens in a intact community is that if you could grow in these 7 sevens, it actually is 10 of them, you become 70 years old, and then you're an adult, and then you could have children. Now our bodies have deteriorated, and so much has deteriorated, we don't have these intact communities, but what we have is trauma communities. So what happens is if I walk up to one of the brothers and punch them in the stomach, they double over and hold the place where I punched. Well, if you get a significant trauma in one of these sevens, you can double over, and that's where your development can stop. So have you ever met these people that's like 60 years old and you're like, this joker like a teenager or something? Like, what's wrong with this person? You know, because their development was traumatized. First of all, the first trauma was there is no community to usher them into this understanding. Secondly, a traumatic event happens. If you don't get healing for that, it becomes a part of your identity. And this is why so many people they're identifying with shit don't work, because that's their standard and that's their reality. But we can overcome all kind of traumas. In my 0 to 7, my infancy, that's characterized by dependency, I was sexually molested from 2 years old to 8 years old by a family member, right? If I didn't get some healing from that, now there are some residues still, but if I didn't get healing from that, I would be one of these psycho people that I work with all the time, right? Now, the last thing that I want to say about that is not only do you as an individual go through this, your relationship is a third thing. It is a living, breathing person. So let's look. What are the first 7 years? Their dependency, their infancy. You're in the infant stage, characterized by dependency. As an infant, somebody got to wipe your butt, somebody got to feed you, somebody got to do everything for you, so you don't have autonomy. In the intimate relationship, the first 7 years, the theme is trust. Can I trust you? Is this going to work? Are we going to, most foundational breakups comes off of not present dysfunction. It's, I don't have an answer to this problem. And now if I project it, if we have children, if we move together, if we whatever, it's going to destroy me. So I get out. This is why so many relationships can't get past 7 years, because the foundational years are about these concepts. So the 7 sevens apply to you, but they also apply to your relationship. And so that is the class that we're reviewing and talking about tomorrow. Very few Black people on earth are teaching this. And I'm not saying that to elevate us. That's not the reason I'm saying it. We didn't create this understanding. It was shared with us by one of our Jegnas. What I'm saying is this is a sample of what you're getting when you're understanding relationships through your cultural lens. If we understood this kind of stuff, we out on a date, and people who are courting should not be dating. That's not even dating, is for people who are committed. People who are already married, they go on dates. Everybody else is courting. We out at the damn Beyonce concert or something, like, man, we got so much in common. You ain't even had a conversation with this person. And now in 2 weeks, y'all sleeping together. And now you've got your souls entwined. And now you're trying to figure out, do you know that Montsho Nwasha, kissing in the tree, KISSING, first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage, is actually an African lullaby? Baba Sanyika Anwisi in Detroit sung me the whole lullaby one time. He was like, this is how we get, whether it's Nefertiti, we get Cinderella, whether it's the Queen Shisheta became the fairy godmother. You could just go down the list, Sleeping Beauty, all of them. They stole them from us. And it shouldn't be surprising because they stole you, right? They stole your culture. They stole your value system. They stole your stories. And you're lost out here. And people ask us, what you think is the biggest problem? I ask people, what do you you know what? Ask Black people this, not you, Sister Sekhmet or Brother Davon or whoever, not you individually, but why can't Black people in the Western world get together? Like, what's wrong with all the rest of them? Watch what they say. They're going to give you the same answers over and over. I just think people don't understand it. They don't even know what the answer is, because you are walking up to a fish saying, tell me what you think is wrong with the sky. And the answer is, what's the sky? You know, you don't have a reference. You're so out of context of what your culture is. Even when you hear the answer, it's like, you know, it's got to be something else. That's not it. Some brother in Brooklyn told me, hey, listen, I like what you're saying. It sounds like great theory. I said, bro, I've been married 23 years to a beautiful woman. It's my best friend. I have worked with 20,000 Black people on 16 countries. It's really not a theory, what I'm saying to you. I know it sounds like it's a theory because you aren't practicing this. Not that I'm better than you, but we all have different focus. You know what I'm saying? I think that we're so lost that we can't conceive the position that we're in. And that's why it is good to talk to Black people. Come to the Black Love School and see an Amanatori and a Umema who are mated, or a Faru who is single. Come and see somebody from Trinidad and Tobago and see, damn, they saying the same thing that the sister from the UK saying. And this brother from Detroit, this sister from Philly, and damn, she kind of cute too. But this sister from Philly, she going through the same thing I'm going through. You know what I mean? And you'll start to understand from our vantage point, it's a culture problem, y'all. That's all it is. And we can fix it, but we can only fix it together. Let the church say amen.
Amen to that. Jadia?
Thank you, Sister Sekhmet. It's actually
Tracy,
me.
sorry.
Yeah. No worries, no worries. Could you repeat the 7 skills again, please?
Sure. Skill number 1 is life and love purpose. In other words, why do you exist on this earth? And why are you in the relationship you're in? Number 2 is conscious courting. It is a system of developing a court and how we then select a mate and vet and then go through the stages of mating and nationhood. Number 3 is 3-dimensional communication. Those 3 dimensions are the harmony of thoughts and emotions, a unified understanding, and then the bridge of unified action. So we call that 3 dimensions. Thoughts and feelings is 1, understanding is 2, and then we're measuring that by a productive action together. Number 4 is the harmonizing of styles. Men and women in general are natural complements. We are nothing alike. We are lock and key. We get in a relationship and say, if you love me, now you'll become like me. You know what I mean? So we want to be in a relationship with our homeboy, or we want to be in a relationship with our girlfriends, but a lock and key is nothing alike, but they only work together, right? So you have the general men and women are not alike, but then you have the specific. Montsho and Nwasha have 2 very different backgrounds. So how do we harmonize that when we come together? Number 5, that's 4, right? Number 5 is intimacy and sex. We think we can get sex. We think we can get intimacy from sex, but you can't. You can only, intimacy is supposed to come first, the emotional, vulnerable bonding that produces sex is the physical act of emotional bonding, right? So intimacy comes first, then sex, but we say sex and intimacy because we backwards on everything, but intimacy and sex. Then number 6 is resolving conflict. Every couple, the best couple, the worst couple, has 7 to 10 conflicts a week. Some of the conflicts is like, babe, I don't want to eat that you want to eat, and this all we got to, like, this movie is whack. You want to have in the house date night and we got to watch this. These are little conflicts. Big conflicts is, medium conflicts is, I really don't want to go to this event that we have to go to and present because your family is there, whatever, da da da. Huge conflicts is, no, your brother can't come stay with us for 6 months because he's off the hook. And I know you told him he could, but he can't stay here. So now we're going to have to sit down together with him and explain to him why, and that he's not welcome here unless you're here for the reasons we talked about last summer. Those are big conflicts. If a couple can't resolve conflicts, their relationship will be swallowed up by them, and the love will not be enough to make the relationship last. So you have to have not a theory, because everything we're telling you is not theory. We teach the actual technique. We got a 2-minute conversation technique that does thoughts, feelings, understanding, and unified action in 3 minutes, 2 minutes speaking and 1 minute reflection, right? So that's number 6. And finally is love legacy. This is how we grow together consciously so we don't unconsciously grow apart. You ever meet those couples and they were great, and then you're like, yo, what's going on? Hey man, we just grew apart. Like, something just happened. Like because men and women are different. We're different. So if we don't consciously grow together, we will grow apart. So for every one of these skills, life, love, purpose, conscious courting, 3D communication, harmonizing of styles, intimacy and sex, resolving conflict, and love legacy, we teach you multiple techniques. We teach a philosophy, which is the art, but then we give you science, practical steps that you can use Friday morning to get this skill. Like, you don't got to wait for 10 years and you don't got to be in therapy for 20 months to get a skill. We are therapists. We train therapists in these styles, because most of that bull crap that we learn is also from the white paradigm. We don't know that the Sahu, the transmigration of the soul from the Nile Valley, became, the Greeks called it psych. That is the root word of psychiatry, psychology, and all of that. All of this stuff comes from us. I know we have a lot of PhD clients, but we are actually training PhD people. It's now, Umaima and them could tell you, it's about 5 or 6 PhDs in the Black Love School that are just members of the Black Love School. I thought one of them was on here earlier, but it was somebody else who had her same name. I was going to ask her to talk. So, like, these are the 7 skills. And of the 7 skills, my sister, Jardia, hopefully I'm pronouncing your name correctly, or Tracy. Oh, Jardia is the brother. Okay, peace, beloved. Okay. Here's the 3 skills. You got to have 3D communication because it's the gateway skill to all the other 6. You got to have the harmonizing of styles because you'll love each other. And then in about 6 months, you'll be like, ooh, I love the fact that you're so quiet and you're so calm. Then you'll be like, man, if you don't say something in here, or you could be the opposite. Like, man, you could just talk to anybody. You could, you just got so much to say. Then you'd be like, man, if you don't shut the hell up in here. So you got to have harmonizing of styles, and you got to have conflict resolution. Those 3 skills, if you don't have those 3 skills, you're done. Everybody, you could go back, look at your parents, you could go back, look at yourself. Think about if I had a profound skill of communication, if I had the harmonizing of styles, and we have several techniques. One of them is the date night challenge, 52 date night challenge. And then if I was able, any conflict that came up, we have, of all the techniques we have, the longest skill we have is a skill called race out of conflict. And it takes like about 7 to 10 minutes. All the rest of the skills is like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever. The longest one is race out of conflict. And it deals with the 7 virtues of Ma'at and how you take any problem through the truth, the justice, the balance, the order, the harmony, the reciprocity or propriety until it's gone. And you can get yourself out of any conflict that you find yourself in. We teach you that skill over and over. And then any problem that comes up, you can use it for your children, yourself, at work, with your partner, whatever. And then what you become is proficient at solving problems. And when you can do that, a relationship, a problem is actually a sign for growth. That's actually what it is. But because we're so traumatized, we're like, I don't want no relationship with no problems. Well, then you want a short relationship. You want that like 3 months. Let's hit it and quit it.
A relationship with no problems turns into another problem because
That's right.
Another thing that people report is we grew apart. So if you stay too stagnant, that's also unfulfilling. So we actually want change and we want challenge. We just are not prepared to deal with it. And this is what we would have gotten in an initiation. So sometimes in our culture now, we're kind of like obsessed with information. Definitely American culture. So if you can get a book, or if you can get a course, or you can listen to a podcast, we consume a lot of information, which would be great if we have.
I'm actually even against that.
If we had time to slow down and actually implement, it would be wonderful if you could say, this year, I'm focused on this book and implementing. And then next year, I'll read another one. And I'm a person who likes to read. I read a book almost every week. But the challenge is absorbing information for the sake of having the information in your mind, or actually embodying it and using it. And that's what I think I was going to say when Amanatori was speaking, is talking about the heart work. That's what we call our homework, is the heart work. Doing something yourself makes you embody a skill. So where we definitely have over 40 classes in the Black Love School, and it's what we say is the art and science of Black love culture, and we're still making new classes. So it probably will level off at 50, 60 classes. But the idea is it is a few
No,
things.
King is over 60.
It's a few things that really are going to make the difference in your relationship. And I think when you practice it, what happens is it's not like a fact that you know. It's not something that's distant and disassociated from yourself. It is that you have actually practiced something that is added to yourself. So you're a new version of yourself. And when we can be the stronger vibration, and this is true, like if you've ever had bad customer service, or if you've ever made the decision that you're not going to argue, no matter what, and all adults have made this decision at some point in our life, whether it's at work, with a family member,
on social media,
whatever it is, when you make the decision that I'm not going to be moved from this, and I'm not going to be bitter about it, I'm not going to be chaotic about it, I've just calmly made this decision and I'm absolutely certain, the other person either starts to match your vibration or they fade away on their own, right? They just go away because they realize, as again, what your grandma might have told you, you can't feed fire with fire, right? All of those kinds of summative expressions that our grandparents were giving us was really indigenous wisdom. But because we're disconnected from it, we are looking for a complicated understanding. When you say can't fight fire with fire, what can you fight fire with? You can fight with water, you can smother, you can throw some dirt on it. So we know that some things, that's actually elemental magic and elemental science, that our ancestors understood that you show somebody a fire, they know what that is. They know what it is to be consumed by fire. So when we speak in metaphor and symbolism, it's because we're supposed to be embodying those greater lessons in our life. But now we're just so distant from information because we have a culture of being busy, learning, being busy or occupied with information, but not actually using it. Even the information that we know, like I should be hydrated, I should sleep, I should know when I should not overeat. Some of the things that we know are absolute, we don't do them. So what is it that makes us not do what we know? It is the busyness, or it's the busyness of not getting to it, or it's a level of arrogance that I don't have to do it and I can still be successful. And those are, again, not our natural way.
Yeah, and they're
If
born.
you go to any place where people are indigenous, there's a slower kind of living because there's an appreciation for the present moment. And there's also less arrogance. Although we are creators and everyone in indigenous culture has their creation story, we also admire and respect the weather, right? A mountain, the ocean, animals, because what we're saying is at any moment, although I have access to the creator, I appreciate the connection in all of creation. When you are borrowing from the colonizer, you take the tone of I am God and all of creation submits to me, which is out of alignment. But this is how we move through our relationships, is that just some information makes me better, or some information I have about you makes you worse. And we play this kind of game with each other where we're not actually embodying, we're dangling something over each other's head, and that doesn't feel good. So we move from person to person, situation to situation. And what's important is if you got 3 skills, and that could totally transform the way that you interact with people, it would mean the most for your life, more than any amount of collection, of hoarding, of money. What we often say we're doing is building our legacy, when in actuality, we're alienating people. We're destroying our relationships to the point that when we collect things, there's no one else around us to share them with. And what, even in American culture, what we know, and I'm saying from, modern American white cultures, the study of white men who lay claim to many, 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 many things. There is the Harvard study, the Blue Zone study. There's so many studies that even in modern American time is letting us know that when they follow people for 100 years, when they follow people for 85 years, at the end of their life, no matter how much money they made, no matter how so-called successful they were, they all self-report that the most important thing was their relationships. But in our culture, on the way up to your 100 years and the way up to your 85 years, that's not the conversation. The conversation is to collect, to grind, to be better than somebody else. And what we know is there are people saying, I shouldn't have worked as much because I worked and alienated my relationships. I worked and people passed, my friends, my parents, and I didn't spend time with them. I worked and my children hate me. I worked and my spouse left me. And we're saying that we want something and that's going to be the thing. But often when people get the thing that they're coveting, they realize that that's not the thing. And then they go on a pursuit for a new thing while they destroy all of their relationships. So what we need to do is understand that it's not any one culture in particular, in that it's a claim to a language or a claim to a landmass. There is a belief system that is encoded into original people that has a respect for life and a respect for community and a respect for love that is different from anyone else on the planet. And what we have to do is return to the value system of indigenous people and say that it's not we are glorifying a time period or glorifying a language. It's that there's a belief system inside of the people who create the culture, who create the language, who create the clothing, who create the monuments, and that we will build even greater things than our ancestors, because we're returning to a certain belief system that is life affirming and relationship affirming, and by default is life forward. Anything else is actually destruction, and is what we're seeing all over the planet. If you don't have a certain alignment in your aim to collect a whole bunch of things, whether that's relationships, success, money, you're actually destroying those
Yourself.
same things that you say that you want. And what happens is when we do that for too long, we cultivate an existence of major regret. So that everywhere we go, we have, like, you know, a screw face, we're bitter, we become the bitter old woman or the bitter old man who is really, like Montsho always says, was the biggest believer, but because of a couple challenges turned into the biggest cynic. And when we are that for people, what happens is we don't get to express why we got that way, how we got that way. We don't even necessarily think about it ourselves, we blame other people, but it becomes every generation afterwards is more and more pessimistic about love. So right now we have a generation of people who don't want to get together, don't want to get married, don't see the purpose of it, and are more and more isolated, especially after COVID. Like, you know what, I'm good with video calls. I'm good with the game system and talking to somebody else on a headset. I'm good with staying in the house. And what happens is when you take away community, your gifts are not acknowledged by anyone else. And also your challenges are not corrected by anyone else. So the planet, the community gets worse and worse and worse and worse. So if you don't correct these things in ourselves, it's going to be terrible. And not for your children, but for anyone who's watching you. So we sometimes, again, lay claim to my children, my kids, and we have a language that is not correct. But anyone who's watching you, when you're out at a restaurant, when you're walking, you know, through the supermarket aisles, people can pick up that whether or not you're satisfied with your life, whether or not you're happy, whether or not you're fulfilled. And what a lot of people are saying, especially when they're 20 years old, 14 years old, is, you know what? I don't know any happy adults.
Yeah.
I don't know any people in happy relationships. I don't know people are now, and this is a sidebar, this is the asterisk. People are complaining about young people saying they don't want to go to work for a place for 20 years, that they don't want to sacrifice at a 9 to 5. And there's a measure of people who are beyond that phase saying, hey, these children are lazy. You know, this next generation, what's going to happen if they don't work and do their part? And what I think is really interesting is to look at the perspective of those young people who are saying, what I'm looking at is my mom went to school and racked up $100,000 in debt that she can't pay, and hates her job and hates her coworkers and can't take a vacation and doesn't have the house she wants, or overbought the house and can't get out of it. And they're looking at our lives and saying that
single and she ate my dad.
And that could be the rest of what, when you don't explain things and when you don't have an official passing of the knowledge and culture, you leave the person who has the least amount of experience as a child to understand things that are beyond their level of experience. So if you think, hey, I'm 7 years old and I'm looking at my parents, I'm trying to figure everything out, it must be that my mom didn't cook that one time. And so this is what happens when people divorce. When children are not talked to, they say, you know, my parents got into a fight about the trash and my mom left and she never came back. That's never what it actually is, right? But in our subconscious as a child, we are oversimplifying what's happened. So we grow up with the whole belief system of, I can't argue about trash. I can't argue about toothpaste. And we are now putting something onto a whole situation that was never there. Our children and the children that are out in the world in this time are doing that with us, saying it used to be that it was half of the people are married. It used to be that it was 7. Now we're moving up to 8 out of 10 people are not committing to each other before having children. Soon it will be 9, right? If we don't make a change, because the view of relationships is not positive. The view of marriage is not positive. So even for the people who get married in the United States, half of them are going to divorce. And even for the half that doesn't divorce, half to 80% are unhappy in the marriage, but staying in it because they purchased a home or they have children. So what happens is people look and say, the happiest person on the planet is a single woman, right? These are the reports that come out now, because she can move how she wants. She can have her own money. She can pursue her career. But when you ask someone a question and they're 30, you have one answer. When you ask someone a question and they're 90, you have a different answer, right?
And
So
they
this is
ain't
why
getting the 90.
this is why it's important to have holistic culture, because we are in a culture of appreciating information and statistics and things that are not whole. When you ask someone a question and you say the answer in numbers, we have to understand that we need to be more curious, because when people say half of relationships ended, what we do is oversimplify, like when we were children, and we say then marriage doesn't work, when that's not true. It comes back to, how did half of the people stay together, should be another question, right? Of the people who stayed together, how many are happy, and what did those people do? But we don't ask those types of questions. We say half of marriages ended in divorce, so I shouldn't even get married, because we're focused in this culture on things
trauma.
that are not what we actually want. We focus on the negative because it's very painful, and we don't know how to focus and ask deeper level questions. So we say, you know, like your child is running, we say, don't run, instead of please walk. You know, we say, don't drop that, instead of be careful, right? We're always focused on what we don't want to happen. And that same thing happens in our relationships with ourselves first, and then with our relationship with all other people.
We ask people what they want in relationships when we do our free consultations. And 9 out of 10 people talk for 5 minutes about what they don't want.
And it happens.
We're like, what do you want in a relationship? Somebody who's not going to cheat, somebody who's not this, somebody who's not that, somebody.
This is how you can tell exactly what happened in the last relationship.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, we heard all that. Now, what do you actually want? And they'll sit there for a second and say,
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what I want. I just know what I don't want. And that's a big problem that we're having as a group.
Because imagine if you only know what you don't want, it's almost like if somebody said, like I'm going to say, don't think of an elephant, right? Do not think of an elephant at the circus on a little circus ball with some blue cotton candy. Don't think of that. Do not think of blue. Do not think of cotton candy, right? If you understand the language, it's impossible to not have a visual representation of what's happening. But when we are saying, I don't want someone who cheats, it's almost like cheat, 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 cheat. I don't want someone who lies. Lie, 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 lie. And we don't understand, because we don't have our rite of passage, that what you focus on, you give energy to. And what you focus on kind of directs your path.
Incredible, incredible. Thank you so much for the information y'all have given us. I mean, this is so transformative, and I've heard you speak many times before, and I just feel that this, you know, I don't know, took me to another level and gave me a lot to definitely sit with. I know we're a little past time and we'll have to wrap up soon.
Forgive us for that. We both can run our mouth.
Oh no, we enjoyed our extra time. We enjoyed it, and we're thankful for it as well. But I did want to give time if anybody had any quick questions. And I also want to
give a succinct answer.
Thank you. Did anybody have any final questions? Jadier or Tracy? I don't know which one.
It would be me again.
Okay.
Real quick. You said that you all, if I understood correctly, perform marriage ceremonies?
Yes.
Okay. I think I can safely predict that they're not European inspired.
Absolutely. What we do is so one of the services that we do is premarital counseling, and we have a couple of packages. One is we get the man, woman, and the couple ready for marriage. And then another package, we actually perform the ceremony. So we consult around what rituals you want to have and things like that. And we don't impose, because we have married 8 people, mainly on the East Coast, but many years ago, Queen Neith, that was on the call earlier, we did one of our Akoma Day retreats in the Bahamas. And so we took several couples out there, singles, couples, and families. And there were 2 couples that were supposed to get married or one of the couples had newly got together, one was supposed to get married. They broke up at the wedding. And so, but we don't tell a person how to get married. So the last couple, they had what we would call a traditional kind of wedding. We did their premarital counseling, but then at the ceremony, they had a Christian minister and us perform half of the ceremony. So, and they were insistent about jumping the broom is one of the rituals that they wanted to do. So what we did for the audience and for them was to give them the deeper understanding of where this ritual actually comes from and why in Black homes you see in your grandmother's kitchen from the South, you see brooms hanging on the wall and stuff like that. So we just went deeper into the cultural understanding, and that particular part of the ceremony he performed, and we used some of the readings from the Pert Imheru, the Reu in Pert Imheru in Ger, which is the book of Coming Forth by Day. It's the biblical book of the Nile Valley. It is the original Bible, because that's what it was called in short. Now we're using the Greco-Roman Bibliotheca that we say Bible, but all of our books, the Bhagavad Gita, the Sanskrit, the Quran, the Bible, they're all one book. The Pert Imheru, they're actually all one book. And they've just been segmented through different messiahs that have come to our people in different places. That's why, how is it that in all of these books, the Psalms of Amenemope in the Pert Imheru is the book of Psalms in the Bible. It is the exact same book. You know, we don't know this because we don't have a comparative analysis. So we think these are different religions and different things like that. If all of us on the screen right now go to our people wherever they are in the world, there's going to be a nuance of change in the way we give the same information. If that's codified into lessons, it's not different information. It's the same thing, but we don't understand that. And because we don't have an African paradigm, we be set tripping now in our own re-Africanization. Well, I'm a Khan and we don't rock with Igbo people, or I'm Ifa and I don't deal with Muslims. The Moors ain't Black, and all respect to them. You know what I'm saying? I understand or the Moors say we ain't Black, right? The Hebrews and all, we got to stop set tripping, because Montsho, my name means Black.
This was supposed to be
okay, Maurice, Kemet. Look, I said it was short, but so the point is that if people really let us do our thing, we go off. But we look at what tradition they're in and what is important to their tradition. And then we tell the story of the sacred science of soulmates. And we say, if you're going to get married in front of a community, and we've had like our largest wedding, their theme was Brooklyn meets Wakanda. That was their theme, right? It was a doctor and a lawyer. They had to have like 400 people at that wedding. It was the biggest wedding that we've ever done. And a lot of the people came from the continent, from the islands to that wedding. And so when you go to our website and you see the wedding, like the part on the weddings, the pictures that you see is from their wedding. And so, we definitely do African centered, but, people say, hey, we want to have this wedding on the beach. We want to have it in my grandmother's church. We want to have it in a masjid, in a temple, outside, at wherever. We come in and do it. And like I said, the last one we did, we actually co-officiated the wedding with a Christian minister. And we was backstage with him, just sharing information. And I was showing him stuff in the Bible. Like, yeah, that's from the Pert Imheru, bro. Like that is thousands of years old before King James discovered it. You know what I mean? Like, and we had a great time. Me and him, we had a great time. And then we officiated together, and he did his part. We did our part. Nwasha did her part. I did my part. They jumped the broom. We told the community where this Namibia, this tradition of the broom, what it really means and comes from. And then we did it, and boom. So we kind of accommodate people where they are. That's the best approach, to just meet people where they are, meet them in love, and contribute where you can. That's as short as I could get it.
Beautiful.
Asante.
Beautiful. Okay. Any other quick questions before we wrap up? Oh. Well, I also want to allow Montsho or Nwasha, if you had any final thoughts, to just close us out, and then we'll go into wrapping up.
Well, I just want to say thank you for inviting us
Yes.
into the conversation. I think it's a great thing for Black people to gather about our wants, our desires, you know, to create the spaces for ourselves is extremely important, because above all things within us is the answers, if we can actually just get into a place of being ourselves somewhere. So I think that it's really beautiful to create that space. And I think this is what you should be using the internet and technology for, is the ability to come together without having to come in a certain room, without having to be in a certain city. And this is the way that you can expand your reach, you know, your search for peace, your search for fulfillment. It's so much better now to be like, I can create this virtual room that we can gather. So I just appreciate you inviting us into the room. And I'm always happy to, you know, share with other Black people who care about us and who want to be their best.
So Rhonda Sekmek-Ra, I want to just say much love to you. We've been loving you for a long time. I love the poem that you did for Akoma Day. We shared it around the world. I want to say similarly, this is great that y'all come together. And I want to say to the brothers in with Baba Kahil, I want to say to the brothers that we are in an advantaged position, brothers. We, despite this psychofeminism and all of this other stuff that's out here, we set the tone. Like, Black women want to be in relationships. The reason they're not is because Black men are afraid of them, or we don't understand them, or we don't have the skills. As soon as we develop that, we can have whoever we want. If you have the means and you have a system and you want 6 of them, if that's what you want, you could do that as long as they are with that. And we'll talk about polygamy another time, because Black women started that. I don't want to insult no Black women. That is a short-sighted view. That was not always our way, and it only became our way for a short period of time, and it won't be forever. We're going to go back to what this symbol is actually about: one man, one woman, because we're born at the exact same number. But we really set the tone of what is happening. And if we could come back to our seat, these beautiful, incredible Black women, literally, bro, they everywhere. I don't care where you live at, bro. If I come to where you at, it's 7 of them that are single and dope within 2 miles of you, guaranteed. So if you got a bus card, you could get to them, right? So I want to tell y'all to have hope for that and have faith in that. If you really want the skills, I can give them to you and help you to develop them so you can do whatever you want to do. We're going to win. That's my second point. That's all of us. It's destined. And just number 3, I just want to say to Baba Kahil, salute to you, Elder, and honks and praises to you. I know you reached out at one point in time and I missed you. So I want to acknowledge my failure to connect. I'm so glad that we were able to come together and reach. When I heard you, whenever I hear that voice, that elder voice of a Black man, I get the chills. And I say that because Black women are passing a baton. We die young, right? Because of the stress we're under, and we don't have emotional range. That's why my program is about emotional fitness. We speak like Cat in the Hat. How you feeling, bro? Mad, sad, glad. We don't know emotional words. So we can't demonstrate a range of emotions. But I'm telling all the brothers, give this brother's honks and praises, because a Black man who has survived this hell and has his faculty, he got something to give us whether it's a story, his uncle, his brother, he's a living gateway to another time. And the further we go back, the more our culture is there. And the more we get intimated with that, the more powerful we become. So I just want to salute you, Baba, and say, forgive us. And I take full responsibility, but forgive me for not connecting. I think one time when you reached out and I heard the message like 3 days later, and then I got caught up and didn't call back. But I'm so grateful that we're here now. And I thank you so much. Much love to you, Baba. And you know, whenever y'all ready, have us back again. We can break it down to one topic and then we'll shut up and like really, you know what I'm saying? But we invite all of y'all to come out tomorrow and get this 7-7 work and see what it is. And, you know, just come out and check it out. You know, stay for a few minutes or as long as you can. And you'll see what the live call is like, you know. So that's it. Thank y'all. We love y'all.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, this has been beyond amazing. Thank you so much. And I appreciate y'all taking time to come here tonight and deliver just what we need. Beyond grateful for this. And I think everything happens on divine timing. So yes. I think it happened when it was supposed to. Yes, so I thank you for that. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Baba Khalil to close us out. Thank you everyone for coming.
First, I want to ask a question. No, first I want to say I was smart enough to know what to do. See, I turned it over to Sister Segmet and she was able to get to you. So, hey, we wasn't giving up regardless. So, the question I want to ask, and I think you answered it already, is say one of the things that I am truly interested in is making sure that I am one of those that's trained. Are those within the same classes or those separate classes?
Yeah, we're doing a lot of therapists are reaching out to us because there is a re-Africanization movement happening in psychology and psychiatry. So we've developed a model called KIMIT, and it's cultural mastery therapy and with a K, and cultural maintenance technologies. And we're actually codifying that, putting it in a book, training some therapists that are close to us. We kind of just training them ad hoc, but we are formalizing it. And what we want to do is make it accredited so that people can get, like, wherever you are in the world, you can get trained in our method and then teach it to your people. We need like 1 million, or with 1 billion of us, we probably need 10 million of us doing the kind of work we're doing, because people talk about generational curses and stuff like that. Nothing works without family. This is a basic African principle. Nothing works without family. Money doesn't transpire, possessions, anything. So until we can get the family right, which is the seed of the nation, we are not going to be, this is why we're the parent people of humanity, but we're dead last in education, economics, entertainment, fashion, food, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. We're dead last in all of them because we don't have continuity. So we are developing it as we speak, and we are training people in it. So the Black Love School and our other counseling coaching is your personal life, but then KIMIT is the methodology for you to teach it to everybody else in your world. So yeah, we are developing that, and it would be the absolute honor to be at your feet, to be a student teacher for you. We have trained Queen Afua, we have trained many different people. We actually do, the people who trained us then called on us for us to train them. So we do any sacred women in here, when you go through Queen Afua's training, we do the relationship part. With Dr. Africa, we used to work with him and Dr. Stevenson. Because this is just our life mission and purpose, the people who taught us ask us to teach them. And so that's it's the greatest honor of our lives. So we would be honored to share with you, beloved, and we could talk about how to do that.
We definitely are going to. You talk about Dr. Janice Stevenson?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Good friend of mine.
Yes. Oh, she's beautiful, from Philly, from Richard Allen City. Yeah.
Excellent.
I don't have a lot that I want to. Usually, I close out for Mr. Fuller's work. Generally, I always everybody pretty much know Mr. Fuller regularly because I generally close out doing his work or Mama Frances Cress Wilson. But I really just want to leave the honor with what you've presented us because for me it's golden. I am an African-centered therapist. Really an African-centered healer, and every single thing that you said is something that I use, but I would feel much, much better when I get something from someone that I feel that I can respect and trust. And I've been taught by a lot of people, but I know what's important at this point, and I'm honored. And I want to again, invite those people that it's their first time here. Please come back. We have every Thursday, at least for it's been 10 years almost.
Wow.
It's going on.
Yeah,
I think we're going on. I think this is
Thursday.
9th year.
I think we missed one Thursday. I think maybe 2 at the most. So we're here with topics that nurture us as a people. This is community.
That's beautiful.
Okay, this is an open environment. This is one of the safe places that Mr. Fuller would recommend for you to be.
That's right.
So with that, we want to welcome you back. And we want to thank everybody, Asante Sana, that showed up. Hotel.
Absolutely.
Hotel.
We will share that with our group as well tomorrow so that they can come. A few of them still here. So much love to y'all, man. Black people are beautiful. Y'all look great, man. You're just so inspiring wherever y'all at in the world. Little couple sitting there. I love it. I love it. It's just beautiful. We love it, man. I'm a love person. Our last name means love. So my name, Montsho Nwasha Edu, is Black spiritual love. I'm embodying that. I love love. I believe in it 100%. And it just does my heart well to see y'all and have the Baba elder like, yo, brothers, this is a unicorn. We don't see Black men elders like that. A lot of the giants are leaving here and they leave in open spaces. We got to take these seats. So when we get brothers like this, we got to hold on to them ankles. Whatever he got, get it, So much love to y'all. We see y'all on the other side.
Right. Thank you so much. Asante Sana. What's up? Peace and power, everyone. Much love. Much love.
Oh, man.
What's up?
Turn this tape off.
Yeah.